Who would have thought Drake May would be in anyone's conversation?
Make him the new Jamar Chase of the Green Bay Packers, why not?
Who is RB1? Is it Dowell or is it Hubbard?
He's potentially falling out the top 5 conversation this season, he really is, and that is crazy to think.
Welcome back to the Early Hours podcast. 6 teams on bye this week, and also a member of the Early Hours podcast also on a bye. But look, regardless, there is action to cover and we are here for it. Starting off with Monday Night Football, 2 massive games to talk about. The Lions Buccaneers 24-9 retrospectively. The star of the show here, Jahmyr Gibbs, running for 136 yards and 2 touchdowns.
Yeah, it was exactly what we said, wasn't it? They used the screen passes, they used the quick slants, the quick balls, and genuinely a very solid performance. We were talking about how Jared Goff would perform under the blitz. He did really well. Threw for 241 yards, obviously the touchdown as well, and yeah, he was balling out. So Detroit's defense as well, got to quickly mention them. They had a stonker of a night, really. It was funny, we were talking about how the Lions might be the one attacking Goff, but it was the other way around, actually. 4 sacks, 4 of 15 on third downs. They literally didn't give the Bucs a chance to move the chains, and just 252 yards in total, I think it was, at the end of the game. So they really did limit the Bucs, and it was a hell of a primetime game. Two playoff contenders going at it, and maybe a sneak peek for something we'll see later down the stretch.
Yeah, that brings the Lions to 5 wins in the NFC North. Definitely a playoff contender, like you say, but the Packers have got to win this Sunday as well, which we'll get onto shortly. The other game on Monday Night Football was the Seahawks-Texans. The Seahawks coming away with a win there, 27-19. JSN on the score sheet again.
100%. That kid is just balling out, and we've
Who would have thought it would be a JSN breakout season?
We've
not
spoken about him enough, have we? He was touted as a slot receiver at the start of the season. How was he going to perform with Metcalf leaving? And he's absolutely balling out. So
in quite an unsurprising Seahawks side as well. There isn't it's not an exciting. You've not got massive stars in there, but this proves that maybe the Vikings weren't all that last season, and it was actually Sam Darnold saving the show and running the show.
Yeah, they made a crucial decision, didn't they? They went with JJ McCarthy, and actually he's balling out. And look at what they did. Look at from a Seattle perspective, they moved on Geno Smith. He's the most sacked quarterback in the league. He looks down and out with the Raiders. So great bit of business from Seattle. I did want to also talk about, I feel like last episode we really homed in on the defensive side of the ball for these 2 Monday Night Football matchups. And again, Texans defense, granted they'll be gutted with the loss, but four takeaways, 1 defensive touchdown as well, and actually from a third down perspective they held Seattle to 3 of 14, so they were really efficient. It's such a shame, but huge effort from Anderson Jr., Derek Stingley, and the entire Houston unit. So they've got things that they can be happy about and they can be encouraged by.
Do you think the Seahawks could go all the way with the run of form that they're doing? I think it's not an outlandish statement. They've won the Super Bowl before.
Well, that West is, despite all its injuries and turmoil and changes in the offseason, is turning into a real crazy division. And I think you might be onto something. I think if they can find a piece here or there, they've been linked with Devon Achane. They've been linked with bringing in some potential defensive recruitments. If they can find a piece here or there, I'd put them in a similar bracket to a team like the Chiefs, probably 1 or 2 pieces away, and all of a sudden they can be really dominant. And actually, where the Chiefs has maybe got Mahomes, they've got JSN. JSN is really delivering at the minute, and he is a game winner. It's as simple as that.
I think they're this season's sleeper side. I really do.
But
they're not even going under the radar. Exactly. They're 5-2.
They need a bit of fortune, and they need the Niners or the Rams to drop off. And at the minute, I can't see that happening. It's probably more the Niners that could happen to. However, the Niners, don't forget, have beat all 3 divisional opponents in the West at the moment, and that is crucial when it comes to the divisional standings.
Yeah, we touched upon the Vikings momentarily when we're talking about Sam Darnold and JJ McCarthy. Thursday Night Football, the Vikings at the Chargers. Wentz is still at the helm here, and look, that could prove dividends for Justin Jefferson as he's chasing 8,000 total career receiving yards, and this could be the game that he does it.
What a career that man's having. He is an absolute baller, and he's done it with so many different QBs. He's never had apart from Kirk, there's never really been certainty under center for him, and we're seeing that again this weekend. JJ McCarthy out, they're not quite happy. Still not performing as they'd like in practice, but for me, and maybe I am just speculating, I don't think they're all that sold on JJ McCarthy. I don't think, even if he was fully fit, would we potentially see Carson Wentz starting again? Perhaps. He's 7-0, Carson Wentz, in his Thursday night football appearances. So what a stat going into the game against the Chargers. And look, on the other side of the ball, the Chargers are in just as much. They need a win just as much as the Vikings do. And the offensive line gave up 35 pressures on Herbert last week. That is a man that is quite literally getting sacked left, right, and centre, albeit by a Colts side who are absolutely surprising the league. But the Chargers' defense as well, they struggled. We know that the Vikings will be able to ball out. There's always ways that Justin Jefferson and Addison can find separation, so they're going to have to perform. And I think the Chargers edge it at the minute. The bookies favourite by about 3.5. But yeah, don't be surprised if they can get that pass rush going, Minnesota. The Chargers could be in trouble.
I said it last episode. I'll say it again. Only one touchdown for Justin Jefferson this season. That is not a stat that you'd even want to associate with that man. For someone who's chasing as many yards as he is, and how reliable he is, you can't believe that. Like, it's not been without trying. And obviously we've had this uncertainty at QB, but you've got to be scoring more than that, Justin. You've got to be catching more than that. Or is it the targets? Who knows?
He's potentially falling out the top 5 conversation this season. He really is, and that is crazy to think.
Especially when JSN is sneaking in.
Yeah, and they did. I'm funny. I'm going to throw to the fantasy football chat, the official NFL fantasy football podcast, and they did a mini sort of re-mock draft mid-season, and Justin Jefferson fell outside the top 10 for them, and that's the official. They're the top analysts, sort of bringing that information back to the people and the local fantasy managers out there that need this inspiration on who to take. JSN was actually taken at 5, which is crazy, but anyway, yeah, plenty to look for in that game, and we're just praying from a Packers perspective that the Chargers can get it done right.
100%, yeah. Looking ahead at the Sunday slate, I think the biggest game this weekend is a rematch of a game that happened only 2 weeks ago. So it's the Giants at the Eagles. The 2-5 Giants, they face the 5-2 Eagles. But last time out, the Giants beat the Eagles 34-17. Now, the Giants are deflated after that crushing loss at Denver. But yeah, who do you think's winning this one? Do you think the Giants can do it again?
Giants are going to be operating under a silent count. Are they a bit shaken up after last week? It's funny.
100%.
For a team that dropped so many points in the second half last week, it's actually the Eagles that struggle in second halves lately. So this could be an opportunity for the Giants to flip the script. Could the Giants, could we see an early start, an early lead from the Eagles, and the Giants find their form? And actually, look, I said it last week. We're gonna have to expect these kind of performances and these shock results from Dart. We saw him lose to the Saints in his second start. That was a bit of a surprise. It's just about building that adversity, and as long as they turn up and they deliver again and they take it to the Eagles, again, a loss, if they lose, they lose. In my opinion, they're not expected to win at this stage. I'd rather see them learning from their mistakes a little bit, and if that is just being more efficient in that second half, then so be it. That's a good test. And I think largely listening to the fans this week, that is the general consensus. They want to just see Dart learning from those mistakes early on. I did want to also just touch on the kicker perspective. Jude McTominay obviously dropped by the side, missed the 2 crucial PAT attempts, and it's unfortunate for him, but we'll probably expect to see Koo starting this week, which is an opportunity on the flip side for him to salvage his career after being dropped by the Falcons.
I think I got the Giants for this one. Maybe
really?
Controversial. Yeah, 100%. I think last week's performance for the Eagles is a red herring. I don't think Jalen Hurts is going to be finding A.J. Brown again this week. Could find Devonta Smith, but I think it's going to be run game heavy. Saquon Barkley will want to put up some points against the Giants after not being able to perform at MetLife a couple of weeks ago. And look, as I say, back in the Giants, don't worry, like you said on Monday, the Giants played great football for 3 quarters, and that's all they need to do, right? So, moving ahead to another New York side, it is panic stations for the New York Jets. They're at the Bengals. Cincinnati just coming out of a QB slump, but the Jets are going through one right now.
Aaron Glenn very coy in his press conference around who will be the starting QB this weekend, apparently to avoid giving his opponent in the Bengals a competitive advantage. But let's be honest, I think he's probably got a lot of uncertainty himself. Tyrod Taylor's battling an injury. Justin Fields, the last 2 games, ever since we saw him in London, has looked absolutely diabolical. So not much going there. Even the owner calling him out this week and saying that, the team isn't going to go anywhere when they've got a QB like that under centre. So just a brutal week for the Jets, and we'll keep a close eye on that on Sunday.
Definitely. Fields as well, not looking very happy in his presser yesterday. I think he knows what the situation is. If it's not been told, I think you can read it from the look on his face. Bills at the Panthers. This one comes down to the run game all day long. You've got a rushing QB in Josh Allen and James Cook. On the flip side, you've got a running back room that who's starting? Who is RB1? Is it Dowell or is it Hubbard?
It's a really good point. They were sharing snaps last week, and for fantasy managers, it's a nightmare. You touched on the running game as well, and Allen, 305 yards total per game this year. He's averaging, so
that's a good average.
It is a very good average. And Buffalo as well, specifically against NFC opponents, they're 15-3 in their last 18 games. So you'd like to think that the Bills can sort of get back to form. It's a statement game for the Bills, and look, it's a very tight division in the East, and the Patriots sat firmly at the top, but with a win this week and a potential loss for the Patriots against the Browns, then it might be back to the run of form, and we see Allen getting back to the top of the division.
The Browns are no pushover side, but yeah, Drake May on a run of form that who would have thought? Who would have thought Drake May would be in anyone's conversation or top fantasy picks this year? Not this guy. Not this guy.
It'll be a real test for May this week. The Cleveland Browns defense, just there's no two ways about it, remains elite. They are, the number 2 in total defense across the league, and they're number 1 in yards per play. So there'll be no running it. Doesn't matter whether it's Trayvon Henderson or Ramondre Stevenson. They will not be running it. So he's gonna have to find his receivers. Big game for Diggs. Big game for the passing.
And Myles Garrett as well in that Browns side. He could feast. It could be a terrible day at the office for the Patriots if he is unlocked. Elsewhere on Sunday, we've got the Buccaneers at the Saints. The 1-6 Saints, no less. Who have you got in this NFC South matchup?
First of all, classic rivalry. Love this. Outside of the Falcons for the Saints, this is the big one. This is the one that they put the big red cross on the calendar. So there'll be eyes on this game for sure. Baker Mayfield, I think you have to look at the Bucs, don't you? Averaging 27.4 points per game on the road at the minute, which is huge. So Baker, he's not bothered about silent counts and fans cheering him on third down. He's not bothered at all. So 5 of the last 6 meetings have been decided by 7 points or fewer. Do not count the Saints and Kellen Moore's side out of this one. I think the Saints are going to bring the energy. I think it's going to be a really exciting game to watch, and I'm just going to edge it with the Bucs, but I think it's closer than people think. And this could be a potential spiral for the Bucs after last week's loss against the Lions.
Is it another week without Bucky Irving, do you reckon?
Without Bucky Irving, without Chris Godwin, I think the pressure's going to be on Igbuka.
No Mike Evans as well.
No Mike Evans, unfortunately. Big injury to him. He's looking like he's out for the season. Big pressure on Rashad White and Igbuka. But look, who cares? Igbuka's proved everyone wrong. So rookie, no problem. Let's test that secondary again for the Saints and see what happens. We've
got the Cowboys at the Broncos. 2 quarterbacks right now at the top of their game at this rodeo in Mile High.
The Denver Broncos are the favourites in this. I'm actually going to go with the Cowboys. I think if Dak had a defence this year, he would firmly be in the MVP conversation. I think he's really balling out in what can only be described as a really tough division with the rise of the Giants as well. Cowboys are averaging about 31.7 points per game, and Dallas have actually led the NFL in combined yards per game as well as combined touchdowns this season. So they really are firing on all cylinders on offense. It's just that defense, it just needs to step up. It needs to take that leap, and it'd be nice to see them put some pressure on Bo Nix this week. And yeah, I think you touched on it last episode, Goody. Denver maybe scathing a win last week, and they've actually not looked as convincing as you'd like.
Scathing a win with a 33-32 matchup and getting all of their points in the fourth quarter. You think that's a scathe? No.
They had to really fight for it, didn't they? And I don't think Dallas will be as kind to them as the Giants were.
And rounding out our Sunday slate, primetime football, we've got the Packers at the Steelers. Jordan Love coming up against Aaron Rodgers. Can the student finally become the master here?
Well, Jordan Love so far in his career against the Steelers, 0-1, unfortunately, in his first season. We touched on it last week. We went on a bit of a bad stretch that we won't talk about when he first started.
It's nice, actually, that we can talk about this game quite freely without being criticised by the third member, which is quite nice.
Absolutely, it is. It's lovely. I could talk all day about it.
Hey, we've come coordinated as well. We're talking Super Bowl 45. This is a rematch of that. We're both repping the badge.
Absolutely. Look, there's a lot at stake here for both sides. I think mainly just bragging rights, right? They want to be able to take it away and say that they beat Rodgers or they beat Love. It's a big one. So Rodgers, speaking of beating teams, has actually beat 31 of 32 in the NFL over his career. Can you guess who the last one is that he's not beat?
Is it the Packers?
It sure is. It's the Green Bay Packers. Wow. So he is really going to want to take this dub home.
But on the flip side of that, Jordan Love is going to want to prove himself as the person who is you beat Rodgers, you then become his successor, don't you? You can prove
100%. And the Steelers haven't lost to Green Bay at home since 1970, which is remarkable. So the terrible towels will be in full flow, and yet finally for me, Rodgers ranks second in passer rating this season as a QB. So do not rule this man out. Age is just a number. He's going to be 42 next year. The Steelers apparently want to sign him again. They want to go again. We're not even halfway through this season and Mike Tomlin's ready to fire it up and get that going. So all eyes on this game. I think it's going to be a monumental matchup and certainly one for the press to be getting nice photos of Rodgers and Love after the game.
Yeah, if there's no jersey swap there, I don't, where else can there be one? We saw a really nice photo last week. We touched upon it. It was McCaffrey and Bijan Robinson. I think we've got a similar sort of photo coming up on Sunday night. But yeah, I'm going to say the Packers. Of course, I'm going to say the Packers. I think it actually comes down to the long game there. I think it's all about, I don't think we'll rush as much as we throw. We know Jordan's way more comfortable this season lobbing the ball downfield. I think it could be a breakout game for Matty Golden as well. I think that's who we find down the field.
Interesting. I'm going to go, I agree with you actually. I think as important as the run game is this year, and we know that Matt LaFleur
the Steelers are just so solid.
Yeah,
so solid.
100%. Although the front has struggled to get to quarterbacks this year, so if Love finds time in the pocket, which might benefit us against a still beaten up O-line, yeah, he might find Golden down the field, Dobbs, they're big players, and get the ball to Tucker Kraft. Leads the league in yards after catch at the tight end position this year, and we need to get the ball to Tucker Kraft. Just give him 15 targets, give the man, make him the new Jamar Chase of the Green Bay Packers. Why not?
He won us the game against the Cardinals last week with that weird catch on 4th and 2.
Crazy.
It was like Jordan's third read, but he made it work. He toe tapped near it, and then we went on to score the final touchdown that won us the game. So yeah, definitely get it to Tucker Kraft. That's all we ask, please, Jordan. I know you're watching. Definitely one to watch though if you're a Packers fan or just a fan of football in general, because matchups don't get more as exciting as that. Closing out the show then, I know he's not here, but we've managed to scave it for so long. We do need to talk about the 49ers at the Texans. Look, the game itself, I think the 49ers walks through that, but I think the more exciting part is that we are going to a 49ers watch party in Leeds this weekend. The 49ers faithful are hosting another one. I think their support over in the UK is actually really, really good and should be exciting. How excited are you for some brisket, Oliver?
Very excited for some brisket. Go on, Hickories. Shout out to yourselves. So we'll see you there. And also Paul at the Faithful UK has been very kind to us, very welcoming, told us all the info we need. So shout out to Paul. I just wanted to quickly touch on, I think for the fans attending the watch party, this is going to be a real fun one to watch. The Texans, there's no denying it, their O-line is shocking. It has surrendered 12 sacks this season, so albeit without Nick Bosa, albeit without Fred Warner, on those potential blitz packages at the linebacker position, I think they're going to get to Stroud, and I think it's going to be a real fun one on third downs. And then equally on the other side of the ball, the Niners, they're 9-1 in their last 10 meetings versus AFC opponents, so it doesn't look good, does it, for Houston and D'Amico? But we're really looking forward to it, and it'll be great to be. It's always good to be amongst fans in person. So we'll be bringing you some content when we're there. But someone might have to pull me away from my brisket, like Goody says.
Not only will we be feasting on the selection of meats, I think the 49ers are going to feast as well. I think Kittle comes back this game. I think he gets more targets. I think it'll be a quieter game for CMC by his standard anyway. I still think he'll be involved, but you've got to give the ball to other people, else you could have no one left. Mac Jones.
100%.
But yeah, no, that is all we've got time for on this episode of the Early Hours podcast. Hopefully by next week we'll have the third one back. But until then, let us know who you've got for the Sunday games in the comments or on social media, and we'll catch you again next time.